I told my new wife I was just the night supervisor at the lodge. I never told her I owned it. And thank God I didn't, because 48 hours after our wedding, she tried to throw me out of my own room. My name is Daniel Moore. I'm 63 years old, and I've spent 4 decades in the hospitality business across Western Canada. I started as a dishwasher in Nanaimo, worked front desks, cleaned rooms, managed properties, and eventually bought a quiet chain of coastal lodges through a holding company I never talk about. After my first wife died, I learned a hard lesson. Money changes people once they know you have it. So when I met Elaine at a charity auction in Victoria, I decided to keep things simple. She said she was a widow, said she worked in event planning, said she had a teenage son named Kyle. She laughed easily, never asked about money, never pushed. She didn't care that I lived in a small staff suite at the lodge where I worked nights. At least, not until we got married. The wedding was small, ocean view, just family and a few friends. My staff treated me like any other employee, per my request. Elaine noticed. I saw it in her eyes. The next morning, she was already dressed when I woke up. Papers were laid out on the table. Kyle was there too, which I hadn't expected. "Daniel," she said calmly, "this living arrangement won't work." I blinked. "What do you mean?" "This room is too small. Kyle needs space, and honestly, night work isn't appropriate at your age." That word again. Age. Kyle smirked. "You should be thinking long-term. Retirement." Then Elaine slid a paper across the table. An eviction request, addressed to lodge management, demanding a larger suite, citing spousal rights. I stared at her. "You filed this without talking to me?" She smiled. Cold, controlled. "We're married now. What's yours is ours." Something inside me tightened. Over the next 2 days, the pressure escalated. Questions about my savings, suggestions about selling investments, hints about asking my daughter for help. Then I caught Kyle going through my drawers. "I'm just helping Mom understand what assets we're dealing with," he said, not even embarrassed. That night, I couldn't sleep. So I did what I've always done when something felt wrong. I investigated. With help from a private investigator, I learned the truth. Elaine wasn't Elaine. Her real name had changed twice. Kyle wasn't her son. He was her nephew. And this wasn't their first marriage. They had a pattern. Target older men, marry fast, apply legal pressure, drain assets quietly. Most victims stayed silent out of shame. That's when I decided not to confront them. Instead, I let them think they were winning. I told Elaine I'd spoken to management, told her I was being offered severance, told her we'd meet in the lodge lounge to finalize details. What she didn't know? The cameras were real, the microphones were live, and the general manager was my operations director. In the meeting, she dropped the mask. She demanded money, threatened legal action, pressured me to liquidate retirement funds. Kyle leaned forward and said, "Make this easy, or it gets uncomfortable." That sentence changed everything. Within hours, police were involved. Fraud, coercion, extortion. The marriage was annulled. They weren't just arrested, they were exposed. I didn't press charges quietly. I made sure every lodge, every senior center, every charity knew their names. The room she tried to evict me from, I turned it into an office. And the lodge, it's still mine. Some people marry for love. Some marry for money. And some reveal who they really are, the moment they think you're trapped.